So when you have a collective number of agencies that provide daily, very badly needed care in the occupied West Bank and in Gaza, that is going to have an immediate effect on their lives. And remember, the humanitarian aid situation in Gaza is already on life support. Yes, there have been minimal improvements after the ceasefire, but so much more is needed. And the UN humanitarian supporters are saying that this will fundamentally jeopardize the aid flow.
All right, getting you some breaking news now. The boxer Anthony Joshua has been discharged from a Lagos hospital, according to state officials. Anthony Joshua's friends Sina Gami and Lateef Lats Ayodele died in that car crash in Nigeria on Monday. The vehicle they were traveling in alongside Joshua struck a stationary truck on a major road. The British heavyweight Joshua sustained injuries but was stable and conscious in the hospital until his release now is what we can confirm. All right, a quick look at what else is making news around the world now. The military-led governments of Mali and Burkina Faso have announced travel bans on U.S. citizens. The announcements follow similar decisions by Niger and Chad. They said the move was in response to a decision by the Trump administration to include them in an expanded U.S. travel ban affecting nearly 40 countries. The White House says it targets foreigners considered a security threat. Eurostar and Le Shuttle services between the UK and France through the Channel Tunnel have now resumed after yesterday's major travel disruption. Thousands of passengers faced hours of delays after Eurostar cancelled most of its services from London due to overhead power supply problems. Rail services through the tunnel in both directions are now running following repairs, but Eurostar has urged passengers to check before travelling, warning of possible knock-on delays and last-minute cancellations. All right, that's all for now, but I do want to go back to some pictures coming in from all around the world as countries usher in 2026. All right, so these were the pictures in Sydney at the iconic Opera House. And then, of course, we had Dubai bringing in the new year with that dazzling display of fireworks and lights. And now we are just about half an hour away from the clock striking, or rather the Big Ben striking midnight in London, where my colleague Nikki Schiller is and has got a front row seat of all the upcoming celebrations. He'll be taking us through that over the next hour. So do stay with us here on BBC News.
This is not your typical farm.
This is one of the most incredible things I've ever done.
Why are we so suited and booted for this dance?
I better not touch it anymore.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Tech Now on BBC News.
The ceasefire is expected to start tomorrow morning in Gaza, opening its 72-hour window for the hostages to be freed.
These are among the lucky few Sudanese. Just across the border in Darfur, famine has been declared, and there are fears that things are going to get way worse.
That's where the plane crashed, but literally there's a row of buildings that have been completely charred.
You can retrace Hurricane Melissa's path. It ripped through these hills. The trees snapped like twigs, and more than 1,000 homes destroyed.
Donbass is now firmly on the negotiating table. So for the people who've lived here for generations, these may be permanent goodbyes.
So if I very quickly take my mask off, the air is absolutely thick with smoke. They're having to stand and watch these properties burn. It is a losing battle.
The return of the Lionesses. Here at home, thousands of people lining up and down the Mall. This team means the world to them.
See in 2026 now with BBC News. Full coverage of the world-famous London fireworks and Hogmanay festivities in Edinburgh, along with the best of the New Year celebrations from around the world. New Year's Eve live.
Hello, I'm Nicky Schiller. Welcome to the roof of Broadcasting House here in central London and to New Year's Eve Live. We are now less than half an hour away from welcoming in the new year here in London and around the United Kingdom. Thank you for being with us here on BBC News to see in 2026. Now, what is crucial when you are waiting for midnight? It is, of course, to have a clock. And we are blessed with probably the world's most famous clock here in London on the Houses of Parliament, known as Big Ben. So right away, I am going to put that on the right-hand side of the screen for you, and it is going to stay there until the fireworks display at midnight. So if you are at a party, celebrating with some friends, you can keep us on in the background and you'll know exactly when you can tune in to see the fireworks. However, you may also be at home on your own, maybe looking after a dog or a cat. That is why we are going to be with you for the next 90 minutes to see in the new year and to travel around the world to some of the areas that have already welcomed in 2026 and some that are still waiting like us in 2025. So we will be having the fireworks here in London, which is about 3 miles that way on the banks of the River Thames, in full. You will see all 15 minutes of them wherever you are in the world. We'll also pop in on the Hogmanay celebrations in Edinburgh. And new this year, we're also going to be heading to Ghana because the capital is hosting a big fireworks display there. To do that, I need the help of my colleagues, and that includes Greg Mackenzie, who is on the banks of the River Thames to see the London fireworks. Ben Phillip is in Edinburgh. He is overlooking Princess Street, which is where the massive street party happens for Hogmanay. And we'll also be talking to Thomas Nardi, who is in Accra in Ghana for that fireworks display.